Haney Biz presents Entrepreneurs Unlimited. Here's your host, Mark Haney.
All right, and welcome back. We are here with Shawna and Dan Wells, owners of baseball's superstore of Sacramento, Bases Loaded. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, Mark. Thanks for having us.
Fabulous. Thank you. We appreciate you having us.
Yes, Shawna, appreciate you two. Now, I think this is the first time we've ever had a power couple, a husband and wife team that work together and are growing a business. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us about the Inc. 5000. You guys are one of the fastest growing companies in the country?
Yeah, it was a pretty exciting honor for us. Something we probably should have applied for years ago, and finally decided to do it, put my marketing hat on, applied, put all the financials through, and we were ranked, I believe, around 2,900 out of the fastest 5,000 growing private companies in the nation.
Wow. Now, what percentage growth is that?
It was about 120% growth over a 2-year period.
All right. Now, tell us about Bases Loaded. What is, just for our audience out there that might not, that might not be into baseball, probably not very many of you guys, but what is Bases Loaded?
Who couldn't possibly be into baseball?
Exactly.
Bases Loaded started as a really kind of small retailer about 19 years ago, and probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we decided that we had to adapt to change, so we focused on becoming really a baseball and softball superstore. So for the player, for the parent, for the coach, we provide everything from all the way from a T-baller that needs cleats to, a professional player that needs a high-end bat or glove. So we provide everything. Soup to nuts.
So I was in your store the other day, and I hadn't been in there. You guys moved to a new location off of Highway 50, and I hadn't been into that location. But I can tell you that I have spent many, many hours in your store and spent, I would say, tens of thousands of dollars in your store. I bought an iron mic. I'm using some of the equipment right now. Shawna, you described this glove. What is this glove?
You've got a SSK on your hand. It's very old glove. It's a training mitt, basically, for infield,
It's got
double play
it
practice.
It makes you have soft hands. And my son, Marcus, has very soft hands, by the way. And he was very good at turning double plays. And it was this glove back in the day that we practiced with. And we had an iron mic, one of those pitching machines that holds, 300 balls, and it was up above our garage, so Marcus took a lot of batting practice. Anyway, we'll get into that in a bit. Back to Bases Loaded. Now, Shawna, you were at Bases Loaded. You coordinated the purchase of Bases Loaded back in the day.
Correct. We purchased it, 50% of it in 2003, and in 2003 until about 2011, I ran Bases Loaded by myself. So,
wow,
yeah, it's very, very exciting. It was, but it's even more exciting to have now my husband Dan come on. He retired in 2009 from the software business, and I let him retire. I let him play for 2 years. He went hiking and played tennis and biking and all that stuff. And finally, I said after 2 years, come play baseball with me. Come on, let's do this together.
Yeah. Well, that's cool that you guys can do that, but never let the husband retire first because he can get himself into mischief. And it sounds like you may have done that a little bit.
I didn't see anything wrong with lying by the pool all day long drinking margaritas.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. And so anyway, my wife was working when I retired as well, and I actually retired only for a couple weeks, so she didn't let me. Anyway. So, thinking about your business, and we have the two of you working together. Shawna obviously understands the business, understands sports, understands baseball, and then you come in from being a software guy. How did you add value to the company?
Yeah, sure. My background is kind of really strategy and marketing and finance, so we were really able to kind of split the business off and say, here's the things I'm going to be responsible for, here's the things you're going to be responsible for. We work in tandem on everything. And it really just allows us to do things differently than most companies can do. You usually have one leader in a company that's kind of driving everything through. And in our company, it's totally different. You've got two people that are, really working on focusing and driving the business and driving what we want to accomplish, which is, just amazing service. We really care about our employees and trying to drive growth in what they're doing. And the combination of that has obviously made us successful.
And let's talk about that growth a little bit. You've expanded your online division, and obviously the store itself is, when you walk in, it's a baseball superstore. Talk to us about that growth and the expansion.
Yeah, sure. Shawna and I sat down in kind of 2011 when she told me I couldn't lay around the pool anymore. And we basically built a strategy. We knew times were changing, things were happening in retail. And we knew that if we didn't adapt to change and change our business model, that probably weren't going to be around in 5 to 10 years. So we decided at that point that we were going to do things differently. We were going to invest in our technology, invest in our people, try to deliver a superior product to our customers that you couldn't get anywhere else, and really kind of diversify and grow our online presence, which we didn't have at that time.
How important is the focus on baseball as compared to a big box retailer who might have 50, 100 different sports in there?
Yeah, it's great question. So you walk into a big box store and they're going to have, some pants, some belts, some socks, a couple pairs of cleats. When you walk into our store, we've got not only the product, because the product, honestly, you can buy anywhere. You can get that online. You can go anywhere. But what you're going to get is you're going to get over 10,000 different products. But you're going to have a highly trained employee that was trained by the manufacturer reps that's willing to sit there and spend time with you to educate you on what the difference is. Our guys are not sales reps. They don't get commission. They're highly trained to really educate the consumer on what these products can do for them to make them a better athlete.
Incredible growth, incredible focus. We are here with Shawna and Dan Wells, owners of Bases Loaded. When we come back, we're going to dive more into the relationship between the two of you and how a husband and wife can find a way to coexist under one roof 24/7. I'm Mark Haney. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140 KHDK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at HaneyBiz.com. Welcome back, and we are here with Shawna and Dan Wells, owners of Bases Loaded. And this is really a power couple. You both work in the same office. You guys, obviously, at the end of the night, you're spending time together as a family at Paul Martin's restaurant, one of my favorites. And I wonder, you've got this partnership that's more than business. How do you spend so much time with each other without killing each other? I'll direct this at Shawna. How do you, come on now.
It's crazy, huh? Well, we've been together since we were 14. So we've been together for almost 30 years. We've been married 22 years. I really think that why it works for us is we are so different but so alike all at the same time. I mean, he truly is my best friend. We bounce things off of each other. We just have found, I was definitely very nervous when I said, hey, come work with me. And I was just like, how is this going to work? And it just works. We are able to make great decisions, do things together that not only benefits our company, but benefits our employees. I'm very kind of pro-employee. I want my employees' quality of life to be as good, if not better than ours. And that's kind of what we're about. But we're just able to work really well together, and it just works.
Who's in charge?
I'm in charge.
I love. Now, I was over at your office, and I noticed that you guys had adjacent offices. They were adjoining. It reminded me a little bit of my brother and me when we had our offices. But you guys did something very unique. That wall that was separating you two was torn out, and so creating one gigantic office. What was the inspiration behind that wall getting torn down?
I think everyone thought we were nuts when we told our contractor I wanted to open this. And basically, we, again, work really well together. I didn't want to have two separate offices. Before we moved to our new location, we had one itty-bitty tiny office, and it worked. And so I was like, we need to cut this wall out. You've got your little section, I've got mine, and we bounce things off each other. And yeah, everyone thinks we're a little crazy, but that's all right.
That's great. You guys... Dan, you talked a little bit about the expertise of the team and how there's very low turnover, maybe no turnover. Tell us about your employee retention.
Yeah, sure. When we kind of set out with this new strategy in 2011, we knew that the employees were going to be the basis for it. So we knew we had to pay above market for what anybody else does, provide great benefits. So as a retailer, we provide health insurance, vacation, dental. You'll never hear that in the retail environment, and we offer that for part-time employees. We really try to take care in terms of a bonus program, a 401k with profit sharing.
Wow. Now, are you guys accepting applications today?
Absolutely.
By any chance? I may have to see what I can do over there. Okay. I love baseball.
We always are actually hiring because we're always looking to improve our team. So there's always an open door in terms of
well, and that's
looking
the
for that
thing.
best person.
I would think, and I've had some companies that have grown rapidly, and that creates opportunity, right, within the team for people to challenge themselves, take on new responsibilities, and make a better living for themselves.
Yeah, very much so. Well said. It's absolutely what it does. It allows us, as we've grown, we've been able to invest more in our people and provide more opportunity and upward advancement. And our general manager's been with us for 14 years. We've taken probably over a dozen people into their bachelor's degree while we worked around their college schedules. Wow. It's such a great feeling to have a group of people like that and be able to provide opportunities.
Well, I love when you walk into a place and the people really know what they're talking about, and we talked about that a little bit. The other thing I love about when I walked into your office or into your store a few weeks ago is you guys have a virtual reality situation going on where I could actually, you saw me, Dan, I throw pretty well, don't I?
You do. I was embarrassed that I had to kick you out because you were staying too long.
That thing is fun. I'm hooked. I mean, I have thrown thousands and thousands of hours of batting practice. And so when I walked in there, I was at home and I hadn't done it in a while. So I appreciate you allowing me to participate in your virtual reality machine, if you will. So in just thinking about the topic of today's show and what I talked about a little bit at the beginning about how sports and business have really helped shape my life and really given me some values that are deep within. Shawna, you're a sports person.
I love sports.
And you're a business
thrive
person.
on it.
Well, how do you see the parallels between sports and business?
It's very interesting because when we first decided to, purchase a building or purchase the company in 2003, that, we're asking, what does Shawna know about, baseball? Well, I grew up on the softball field with my sister playing, but it wasn't so much what does she know about baseball or softball. It's what does she know about business? It's truly a business, and it's a business that then revolves around, sports. And they definitely work together. You have to have that business aspect. There's lots of people that feel like, oh, I can go do this. I'm going to open up a store or sporting goods, whatever it is. But you have to have the business background to be able to back that up. Otherwise, it becomes more of a hobby and not a business. And it's definitely, you have to have that business aspect to then take it to the next level.
Yeah, well said. If I could add something to that, I mentor a lot of small local business owners because they have come to me and have said, wow, we see your growth, we see you in the press. And so I try to work with them. And the one thing that seems to be a common thread with some people that I've helped is they don't understand the deep, deep parts of business, the understanding how to read a balance sheet and look at a P&L and understand those type of things and manage cash flow effectively. And so they're really good, and they have this hobby that's almost a business. And if they just had the business components of it, they could really turn it into something big.
Business is not a hobby. We are here with the owners of Bases Loaded, Shawna and Dan Wells. And I want to thank you, two, for coming on the show today. Coming up after the break, you're going to meet Del Oro's Casey Taylor, and his coaching staff are helping develop young men into winners right here in our community, both on and off the field. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140 KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at HaneyBiz.com. You know what? I was, as Casey was talking, I was thinking about, I was going to become a professional football player at one point, and there was only one thing missing. Athletic ability. Yeah, I didn't have it. But
it's not necessary.
But you know what? We can be anything that we want to be. And when I sold my companies, I think my brother and I both look at each other and like, what's now? And he has sailed into the sunset and is spending a lot of time golfing, manicuring his lawn, and spending time grocery shopping with his wife. And I could not shut it off. And I actually thought about being a high school football coach because I was back there where I'm looking at what's my passion? What do I love? I love sports. I love business. Which way do I take this? I love creating opportunity for people. And here we are today, 6 years later, we've got the radio show.
But Coach Haney.
Coach Haney, yeah, I am. I feel like I can help people a little bit in building their businesses and building their dreams because so much of it is about the stuff that Casey talked about perseverance and about some of the things that you learn as you discover who you are as a young person, as you become a man. And, the attitude, the sportsmanship, the teamwork, those are the things that propel you to happiness in business and in sports. Those are the things, those are the keys to winning.
They're really, I mean, character building blocks, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about here.
No doubt.
I mean, victories, no matter how big or how small, give you this insatiable taste for success that never goes away. And without failure, we would never learn the value of resilience and the ability to fight for our own personal victories. And I think that comes from sports and then parlays right into business.
No question about that, Tom. I think you make a great point. Is when we have to overcome these obstacles, that's when we find out really what we're made of. And Casey and his coaching staff have made such an impact on these young people, and they're going to take those lessons and carry them with them for the rest of their life. And I think there's this ripple effect that happens to athletes, especially when they go through something so memorable like the state championship. These guys will never forget the state championship. And so I guess what I would say is, understanding that there's a ripple effect, maybe we ought to pick out one of those young people and find a way to make an impact. And I know Casey's done that with many, and I've done that a little bit. I've tried to do that in business and in coaching sports. I've tried to do that a little bit. But where did that all come from? I want to share a story with you guys that's, I'll call it proof of the ripple effect. And it starts many years ago in the town of Bentonville, Arkansas, home of Walmart. And there's these three young men standing on the street corner, and they're laughing and joking, the teenagers having some fun, and laughing about the little pregnant girl down the street. The pregnant girl named Emma. Emma was, sadly, prostituted by her father, and she had gotten pregnant. And so these young guys, they felt sorry for her, so they drew straws, and Doc lost. He had to marry Emma. He drew the short straw. So Doc married Emma. Floyd was born. Floyd, since he was the bastard child, was beaten. He was beaten so bad that he was deaf. Most people thought he was mentally retarded, but he wasn't. That's where it all began. And 2 children later, another illegitimate child comes along. That's Hank. He's also beaten. He ends up migrant farm working his way with the family, similar to the Grapes of Wrath, picking fruit. Ends up in Roseville. Doc, his father, his so-called father, gets a job at the railroad. Hank is angry. He's an angry young man. He's been beaten his whole life, and now he's alone in this new town. And what's he going to do? He's walking along the railroad tracks, and Frank Cervantes pulls up with a group of other young people, and they're on their way to football practice. And they say, "Hey, Hank, come on in, get in." Reluctantly, Hank gets in, and when Hank gets to football practice, he's recognized for his heart. He has no cleats, doesn't have any of the stuff that other football players have. But he's recognized for his heart. He's not even that good of a football player. He doesn't have anything special other than his heart. And he wouldn't smile because he had this tough upbringing. He had been beaten and raped and all kinds of crazy stuff. But now he was on a football team. And the varsity football coach, a man named Mott, recognized him. Mott said, "Hey, Hank, nice job out there." And Hank wouldn't smile. Hank wouldn't smile because his teeth were messed up. And Mott recognized how embarrassed he was, and he bought him his first toothbrush. Mott saved that young man's life. Football saved that young man's life. That young man found a way to play 4 years of high school football and start a business selling TVs. And guess what? Guess who his first customer was? It was Mott. The old high school football coach came through and bought a TV from Hank when he started that TV shop. And you know what? You think about the ripple effect and what happens with sports and with overcoming obstacles and these memorable times. You know, they stay with you and they're passed down from generation to generation because if you don't know by now, Hank is my dad. Doc was my grandfather, who I only met a few times. Emma was my grandmother. And Mott was a man that pulled me up as a young businessman when I was starting my career. So you think about the ripple effect and what that means. And I went on to coach football, baseball. We had state championships in youth football, and we had a lot of success in baseball at the competitive level. And you know what? It's in me. And I got this flag over here. One of the guys that I picked out in my coaching career was a guy named Lance. And Lance was a guy that had a little bit of a troubled youth as well. And Lance had his ups and downs, but I coached him for several years, kind of took him under my wing. Maybe not too dissimilar from the way Mott took on my dad. And Lance went to Afghanistan. And when he came back from Afghanistan, you know what he brought me? He joined the Marine Corps. He went to Afghanistan at a time of war. And when he came back, he brought his old coach, this flag that flew in Afghanistan. So you think about the ripple effect that Casey Taylor has on his players. You talk about the ripple effect that high school football coaches have on their players, the ripple effect that we all can have in our lives. And I think it really calls to us, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I would say I want to thank all the people that coached me in my life. Coach Wallace, Coach Garcia, Coach Poole, Coach Del Grande. I want to thank everybody who's helped me in my life. And I can tell you, God bless you, and God bless everybody who's doing what we do. Never above you. Never below you.
Always by your side.